in this one, I wanted to fast forward through most of the story. We've talked a lot about the things that I want to talk about. We've gone over a lot of the things that I wanted to go over and kind of explained my thought process on writing this. And now we're 3, 4 murders into it. The story's becoming more intense. Things are becoming stronger. You've got, the police are circling. You've got tension building. And really, the final nail in the coffin here is that Trent's continuously tried to control Melody's behavior. He's controlled every aspect of her life, her clothing, her behavior, the way she acts, the way she talks, all of it. And it's been gradual, right? The whole manipulative thing. Build up this trust, gain this trust, move on to the next stage. Build up more trust, gain this trust, move on to the next stage. And eventually he's pushed her into a BDSM lifestyle or a 50 Shades of Grey, which is kind of a bad example to give because 50 Shades of Grey probably shouldn't have been written at all. And the first thing I do is give off a content warning, because you know me, I love my content warnings. And so I'll read that now, and that's: BDSM content is present within this story. This content should not be used as a reference or a guidebook on this lifestyle. These methods are not proper or conducive to this lifestyle. If further information is desired on properly performing these actions, you should seek correct information or accurate instructions from appropriate sources. So I think that's a good way to kind of set off, it's a good way to tell people don't do this at home, kind of thing. If you do it, find somebody that knows what the hell they're talking about, kind of thing. And then, because I don't want this story to be used as a guidebook or a reference book. I don't want people to relate these kind of things for my actions, because it's all fictional in where I'm concerned. Everybody's different. Everybody's going to do something different. Why he went with this lifestyle is pretty obvious, I would think. He desires control over every aspect of her. And as far as he's concerned, he's not looking at someone that he loves. Remember, you're dealing with a manipulative person who's very self-destructive, and he's very exploitative. And so you're dealing with somebody that needs to control everything around him. In addition to that control, he needs to be able to manipulate Melody so that she believes that what she's experiencing is love, rather than what she's experiencing is a mentally disturbed individual who has claimed her as property, who sees her as the same way he would see his watch or his wallet. He's treating her one way, but he views her a very different way. And BDSM worked really well for this. Recently I saw a post on the forums that said BDSM is not all about sex, or something along those lines. And this is really true. The more research you do into it, the more you'll realize that sex is there, but it is not the prevalent focus point of BDSM. This is a lifestyle for them, and that lifestyle is extremely important to Trent, who's gradually worked up to getting to this point. This wasn't immediate. I mean, he built up her trust. He started to control her. He built up more trust. He started to control her more. He continued to push and push and push until he got to this point. And even then, he manipulated the situation just enough to make it sound like, while this was an idea, the choice was hers, when in reality it really wasn't. It wasn't her choice. He was going to push this no matter which direction it went. So while that's all taking place, he's still performing his actions. He's still doing all the things that he does, and this kind of pushed a lot of tension in him. Now he's outside the norms of even normal behavior, in order to really focus on this. And the good thing is that Melody has sort of been a focus point for him to help control some of these compulsive issues that he typically dealt with by himself. But remember where we started, right? We started with a guy that lived alone, who had cracks all through his personality, who didn't get along with others, who kept social distancing. Had a whole new meaning for this guy. This was not a well-rounded person, and as time has progressed, his personality has changed, but not enough, right? It hasn't pushed beyond that point where he can be considered normal, because he just isn't. And this lifestyle really helps him encompass that need to control everything around him, that true desire to get there. And the reason I brought this all up is because this is a very difficult thing to write about. The sex, or the erotica of it, is quite easy to write about in comparison. But when you're actually writing about rules, instructions, behaviors, training, expectations, punishments, things of this nature, when you're writing about that stuff, that's not easy to do. There are hundreds of things, and everybody has a different outlook on how things should be done. So it hasn't been an easy thing to research. It hasn't been an easy thing to write about, and I don't suspect it's going to get any easier. Anyway, that should pretty much conclude most of this series. I may do a couple more later if things really pop off, but as for the 3 per day, that's pretty much it. I think we've reached the end. Please ask the questions if you have them. I was happy to do this, and I hope this helped enlighten you a little bit on how I, as an author, took a look at what I'd been writing and what it was like to write it. Take care, everybody.